Hello, my name is George McRae. I own and operate McRae Truck and Auto. This is our sign. We never upgraded the sign. We go by both, but we have diversified over the last 38 years into a full-service automobile and truck center, also to include a full towing and recovery service from light duty all the way up to heavy duty, including air cushion. We also provide many other automotive services, but for today I'm going to make a small video about a 6.4 diesel 2008 Ford engine problem. So bear with me, I'll get back into the shop. So I'd like to resume here in the shop. We have a 2008 Ford 6.4 diesel, and the customer complaint was a loud popping sound. We towed it in, and the popping sound, of course, was coming out of the air intake. So we did a scan test on it, of course, and found which cylinder it was. It happened to be number 4 on this side of the engine, which we've already done. I have tore it apart and changed all the rockers, which is the point I'm going to get to. We also got the customer to accept an upsell of doing the other side, which has been completed with the exception of putting the cover back on. And as you can see, everything is all clean and ready to go back together, or at least to the point where I can put the valve cover back on. I do recommend a new valve cover gasket, even though it is reusable. What happened to this motor was the number 4 cylinder, one of the rocker arms came disconnected and popped off. And why it happened was the oil hadn't been changed very regularly, and this rocker right here, as you can see, one side has the lip to hold the ball that holds it in place, and the other side is completely worn off. I think you can see pretty good right there. It's worn terribly. The way they are supposed to be is like this. There's a little plastic retainer clip on each side. That's all it holds it. But really, you've got your ball in here on both sides, and then they're supposed to ride up and down on that ball. On the opposite side right here, you have the place where it contacts the bridges. This, very much like a Duramax, runs the bridges because it's a 4-valve cylinder. The bridges, if you can see, have a lot of wear to them. The little point at the end of the rocker, where it's supposed to have a little pin come out of here, this one still has a little bit left. It's supposed to rotate about that much, just move around. Well, there's a small oiler hole, hard to see on the top. It's just splash oil, and that's what happened to this one. Now when it came apart, unfortunately, it did tweak the 2 push tubes on that side. They are push tubes, not push rods. The difference being that the push tube has a hole through the center for the oil delivery. Now we've got this all about ready to go back, and I just thought I'd stop and make a little video because there's a couple little things. If you hear this loud popping sound, especially on a 4-valve engine, 4 valves per cylinder, the engine still ran, it still performed, still seemed to have power, but it had a detectable misfire on the number 4. So we take the air box off, and you could hear it popping out through the intake. It has to go somewhere. If the valves aren't opening, it has to go somewhere. So we went right to work on that. Now, another little quick tidbit. There's a connector right here that goes down. You can't miss it. It's a one top prong connector. That's actually your starter crank wire. And what a lot of people don't know, these engines are very hard to find a way to borrow the engine over. So if you get yourself in position where you need to crank the engine and you're pretty sure that it's safe to do so, you can put a jumper wire on this point here, and then you just tap it onto the power. And as you can see, all the valves are working properly. The other nice tidbit about this right here is on, for example, some of the later models, maybe this one too, but at least the later models that I know of, they have a timeout on built into the computer ECM, that if the regen hasn't been performed and the thing decides to start derating, one of the little quirks about it is you may drive 10, 15 miles and park it, and as you get ready to shut the key off, she may stall, or you may not be able to restart it. And it'll really disturb you when you pay for a tow and it gets to the dealership or the repair garage and you find out that it starts right up. That's because there is a 60-minute built-in timer so that the engine doesn't try to start and get the possibly burn up some grass in a parking lot or in a campground because the thing hasn't regened yet and it needs to. So it does have that 60-minute timer. If you're caught in a spot where you need to move the vehicle, many times in the towing business, we just get there and we'll jumper this wire, start it right up, then the thing will run as normal. And if you drive it up the road and get it to regen, it'll go back to normal. If not, you better check your downstream exhaust temp sensors. Most likely the last one in the line is probably burned out. But I just wanted to make this little video, probably a little bit long and drawn out now at this point. But this truck here, the customer was ready to trade it, and they weren't going to give him very much money for it. It's too bad. It doesn't have a lot of miles on it. It has like 130,000 miles. But being that the engine oil hasn't been changed very regularly, these small modern diesels are so dependent on clean oil. The soot buildup in the oil because of the emission systems is gotten so great that I'm recommending my customers bring their oil change intervals back. Never mind this long distance mileage. Some people were trying to go 10,000 miles. I'm going back to the original for these local working trucks that do a lot of idling and a lot of short trips, 4,000 to 5,000 miles, like I do with my 7.3s in my older Fords, which, while we're talking about it, I wish they'd go back and build the 7.3s again, but that ship has sailed. So anyways, that's what you want to look for. If you have a higher mileage, anything over 125, 50,000 miles on a 6.4, you may want to be looking at your valve train because it may be ready to self-destruct on you. But at the very least, good clean oil, regular changes, and I want to just say that this is only the second or third video that I've done for YouTube. But if it helps anybody, I know the first one I got a lot of compliments on and helped some people. If this helps anybody, I would make me happy because I looked this up and I found a few references to this, but as far as really discussing what actually happens and showing some pictures of the parts, I didn't see anything. So hopefully this helps, guys. And since I've been benefiting from YouTube, I intend to do my share. Thank you. Goodbye.